Work sucks. Same people, same dumb emails, same freaking coffee machine. At least Karen keeps it halfway fun, complaining about our boss. But even her jokes are getting old. Maybe that happy hour invite is a good idea after all. Hey, so there's drinks later. I tell Karen, trying to sound casual. You in? She raises an eyebrow. On a Tuesday? Someone's feeling adventurous. Count me in. The bar's actually pretty nice. Way better than our usual places. People are dressed up, drinks look fancy, and the noise level is pleasant? Not blaring, just a hum of conversation. A few guys at the bar glance my way. I pretend not to notice, but damn, it's been forever since I felt seen. Not like that, just like a person, not just someone's wife. What can I get for you? The bartender is kinda cute. Definitely younger than my husband, and he's paying way more attention than I get at home. Should I play it safe, or be bold? Ugh. Why does this feel so complicated? Gin and tonic, please, I tell him. Lame choice, but it's all I can think of. The drink comes, the sharp taste a welcome change from my usual wine at home. Karen arrives, and the conversation flows a bit easier now. Work stories, a bit of gossip, normal stuff, but it feels fresh tonight. A group of guys walk in, all suits and sleek haircuts. One of them catches my eye, not because he's super handsome, but there's something in his smile, a spark that throws me off balance. Karen nudges me, whispering, "Not bad." Huh? I blush, feeling ridiculous and a little bit excited. It's stupid. I'm married, content enough, right? Then why does looking at this stranger make my heart beat a little faster? And why do I desperately wish mine looked half as good as his? We keep chatting, me sneaking glances at Mr. Sparkly Smile across the bar. Part of me knows this a recipe for trouble, like a moth drawn to a flame. Yet the other part, that tiny part that's been bored, ignored, and aching for something, that part is just curious. Is it so wrong to just feel a little alive? The night stretches on, drinks flow, laughter too. It's not even a wild night, just different, and for the first time in ages that difference feels intoxicating. He walks me to my car, should have said no, but there's this weird energy between us, like it wouldn't be totally crazy if he, well, he doesn't try anything, which is good, but also disappointing. I don't get why I feel that way. So, see you tomorrow? He asks, his voice a bit too casual. Yeah, bright and early. I force a smile. My voice sounds weird, even to me. The drive home is on autopilot. My head's spinning. What the hell was that? He's just a coworker, right? But those looks, I haven't felt like that in forever. God, I feel like a teenager, giddy and nervous at the same time. Walking in the door feels surreal. The house is quiet. Same old furniture, same picture hanging by the stairs. My husband's on the couch, half watching some dumb show. I try to strike up a conversation, but my words come out flat. It suddenly feels like we're speaking different languages. He doesn't notice. Why would he? He just grunts, eyes glued to the TV. And right there, a wave of something crashes over me. Not anger, not exactly. It's more like a cold realization. Is this it? Is this what the rest of my life looks like? It shouldn't feel this empty. The next morning, I put a little more effort into my look. Stupid, I know, but those tiny sparks of excitement from last night, I need more of that. Just a little boost. A reminder that I'm not invisible. At work, my colleague, what's his name? Mark, I think, pauses by my desk more. At first it's just work stuff, but his eyes keep drifting to mine. And there's a smile on his lips that never quite reaches his eyes. Lunch? He asks, and his voice sounds slightly different than usual. My heart does a stupid little leap. I actually brought something today. It's a half-hearted excuse, but something in me hesitates. Maybe another time then, he says. There's a flash of something in his eyes. Disappointment? A challenge? And right then, a tiny, reckless part of me decides, why the hell not? Actually, you know what? Lunch sounds good, I say, trying to keep my voice nonchalant. It's just lunch, right? Except somewhere deep down, I know that even saying the words is like stepping off a ledge. Every time my phone buzzes, a shiver runs down my spine. It's not a text from my husband. Those are boring. It's him, Mark. Innocent little messages about reports or meetings, but every word feels like a secret, a promise. That night I lie in bed, but sleep won't come. The guilt is there, a dull ache, but it's battling with this fever in my blood I can't name. It's ridiculous, I'm not some love-struck teenager. I should be over this infatuation crap, yet I find myself picturing him again, remembering the way he looked across the table at lunch, the way his fingertips brushed mine. It's just a crush, I whisper to the darkness. It'll pass, but the words sound hollow. The next morning I text first, something stupid, a question about a project I already know the answer to. He responds immediately and soon we're in this weird flirtatious text banter that is so unlike my usual self. It's thrilling and terrifying all at once. By the end of the day, I'm a wreck. I can't concentrate on anything. My mind is racing. That's when the thought hits me. So simple it's insane. Got a few things to finish up tonight. I type and hit send before I can overthink it. His reply makes my heart pound. Me too. Maybe we could work together? That'd be efficient. I manage, my fingers clumsy on the keyboard. It's a stupid excuse. He knows it, I know it. This isn't about work anymore. An hour later, I'm walking back into the office building. The lobby is deserted, the silence heavy. Every step toward his office makes me want to turn and run. Yet my feet have a mind of their own. He's waiting, door slightly ajar, that smile on his face. The smile that promises I'm not crazy, not alone in this wanting. The office feels different at night, sinful somehow. He offers me a drink, which I accept even though my hands are shaking. We talk, but the words don't matter. The space between us crackles with unspoken questions, with unspoken desires. An eternity passes, or maybe just a few minutes. It doesn't matter, because when he steps closer, when his eyes meet mine, there's no stopping it. The kiss is desperate, messy, and everything I thought I didn't want. It's fire, it's destruction, and I can't bring myself to care. The motel room smells of stale air and cheap disinfectant. The sheets are scratchy, the dingy light unforgiving. Lying next to Mark, I feel nothing. Not disgust exactly, but there's no lingering rush of excitement. Just the dull throb of a headache beginning to pound. He tries to pull me closer, whispers sleepy, half-hearted nothings in my ear. I make excuses, slipping from the bed and into my clothes with stiff robotic movements. Mark looks confused, maybe even hurt. A small voice in my head whispers I should feel sorry, but it's muffled, distant. Gotta get home, I murmur. It's the truth, but only partially. Home to the safe, ordered life I've blown to pieces with my own reckless hands. Every mile driven is torture. Nausea churns in my stomach, making me pull over twice. It's morning when I finally pull into our driveway. The rising sun, a mockery of innocence I lost hours ago. The house feels wrong. Every piece of furniture, every photo of our life together now carries the invisible stains of my betrayal. My husband is making breakfast, humming some stupid upbeat tune. Each cheerful noise grates on my raw nerves. I force a smile, mimicking the wife I used to be. Morning, I manage my voice barely above a whisper. He turns, a smile softening his face. Hey there. You okay? His concern slams into me. A wave of shame so intense I choke back a sob. Instead I nod and rush past him, pretending I suddenly remember a forgotten errand. The day becomes a blur. Work is unbearable. Each meaningless task an exercise in self-flagellation. Mark texts casual, teasing words that now feel laced with danger. I delete them without responding. Yet as the evening falls, the craving returns. It's like a physical ache, a gnawing void in my chest that only his touch, his forbidden attention, seems to temporarily fill. I hate myself for it, hate how weak I've become. I find a fresh excuse for my husband, something about a project deadline. He frowns slightly, but doesn't argue. The guilt is a heavy stone lodged in my throat, yet my feet propel me out the door anyway, driven by a sick desperation I don't fully understand. This affair, it isn't a fling anymore, it's a sickness. A poison I'm drinking, drop by agonizing drop. How about a mini break, just us, that cute place up the coast? My husband's looking at me with hopeful eyes, the ones I used to adore. Now they make my skin crawl. Oh, I don't know. Panic flutters in my chest. A weekend trapped with him playing happy couple when I barely recognize myself? It sounds like torture. Come on, it'll be good for us, he presses, oblivious to the internal battle raging behind my forced smile. How can I say no if I do? He'll get suspicious. Yet the thought of enduring this charade for days on end makes me feel sick with dread. Sure, why not? I agree, hating the forced lightness of my voice. He whoops, clearly taking my words as genuine enthusiasm. The getaway is a disaster. The quaint seaside inn, normally charming, now feels claustrophobic. His attempts at conversation are like nails on a chalkboard. Small talk I can't stomach. We walk on the beach, and every affectionate touch of his hand makes me want to scream. Worst of all, I can't stop thinking about Mark. He hasn't texted in a while, an intentional game on his part. The silence is its own kind of torment. In a moment of desperation, I slip into the bathroom, locking the door behind me. My burner phone is hidden in my makeup bag. He's left 2 messages urgent, demanding to know where I've been. My heart thuds painfully. He's crossing the line from thrillingly dangerous to scary. Everything okay? My husband's voice on the other side of the door jolts me back to reality. Just freshening up, I chirp, forcing cheerfulness into my voice. I carefully delete Mark's messages, then splash water on my face, trying to look presentable. The rest of the weekend drags on endlessly. I put on a convincing performance, laughing at his jokes, feigning interest in his stories. Inside, I feel like I'm fracturing into a million pieces. Every lie, every forced smile pushes me further from the woman I used to be. I'm a stranger in my own life. The drive home is agonizing. With each mile, I inch closer to the inevitable explosion. Mark will want to see me. I don't know what I'll do. Only that this careful balancing act can't last much longer. Something has to break. And the terrifying realization is this. Part of me wants it too. You need to choose, me or him. Mark's voice is low, menacing. We're in his apartment. The sleazy motel upgraded to a place that reeks of desperation and stale cologne. I can't just leave him, I protest. Leaving sounds nice in the abstract, a fleeting fantasy. The reality, the mess, the pain, the shattered life, is a nightmare I have no stomach to bring into existence. He sneers. So, you like sneaking around? Playing me like a fool? No, The words get stuck in my throat. Do I love Mark? Do I even like him? I'm not sure anymore. He's become a problem, not a solution. The old photos are tucked in a box in the attic. I take them out, the image of myself on that day striking me like a blow. Wide smile, eyes full of genuine happiness. I stare at that woman, at myself, and I don't recognize her. How did I get from there to here? Are you okay? My husband's touch on my shoulder makes me flinch. I shove the photos back in the box, guilt and shame twisting in my gut. Just tired, I mumble, avoiding his eyes. He seems to hesitate, then says gently, maybe let's do takeout tonight. No cooking, no fuss. His kindness is like a knife in my heart. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve any of this. Mark's texts grow more frantic than threatening. He swings between desperate pleas and furious rants. I can imagine him pacing his apartment, the manic energy radiating through the phone screen. The excitement is long gone, replaced by a suffocating fear. This man knows my secret. One night he calls instead of texting. His voice is slurred, thick with something that sounds like rage, barely contained. You think you can toy with me? Don't forget. I know where you live. I know everything. The call ends abruptly, leaving me trembling. The carefully constructed wall around my lies is crumbling. The affair isn't a thrill, it's a bomb, and the fuse is burning dangerously short. Sleep has become a stranger. Each night stretches into an eternity, filled with twisted replays of Mark's threats. My husband's unsuspecting touch, and the terrifying realization that I have become a prisoner in my own life. Mornings offer no relief. Moving through my days feels like walking underwater. Each breath is labored. The once familiar comfort of my routine now feels like a mockery. My husband sees it. Of course he does. You're so stressed, he frets, placing a cup of coffee beside me, his eyes full of worry. His words are meant to soothe, yet they pierce my already shredded nerves. I'm fine. I snap back, immediately regretting it. He retreats, confused and hurt. I watch him go, the weight of guilt and other anchor dragging me down. An envelope arrives at work. No return address, just my name in a scrawled handwriting I immediately recognize. I rip it open, heart pounding. Inside, a single Polaroid. Me getting into Mark's car. The implication is clear. He's not just threatening me, he's playing a game. One where I'm always a step behind. Panic floods me. My colleagues go from faceless drones to potential spies. Did someone see me get into his car that night? Their casual smiles feel predatory. Whispers carrying hidden accusations. Is it my imagination? Or did that intern stare a bit too long? The note is just the beginning. He finds other ways to taunt me. A text filled with vague yet menacing references to my work routine. An email with an image of my neighborhood. No words, just the sickening sense of being watched. Confessing seems like the only way out. But the thought of shattering my husband's world, destroying everything we built, it's a fate worse than this living nightmare, the shame, the loss. I can't do it to him. I can't do it to myself. Yet I know doing nothing isn't an option either. Mark is a ticking time bomb about to destroy the life I fought desperately to keep intact. My mind goes to dark places, thoughts I never imagined I'd entertain. Could I make it look like an accident? Could I disappear? Leave this mess behind? The line between victim and villain blurs, twisting me into someone I no longer recognize. I am not innocent. I brought this chaos upon myself. Soon. The single word burns on my phone screen, a death sentence in its brevity. He's not playing anymore. This is it, the final act before he tears my secrets out into the open for everyone to see. Something shifts inside me. The fear curdles into something sharper, a jagged shard of desperation. Confronting him isn't merely an option. It's the only path left. Maybe I can reason with him, bribe him, threaten him back. I cling to the faintest hope that there's still a sliver of sanity behind that rage-filled facade. I text back, feigning calm. Where? When? His reply comes minutes later. The abandoned warehouse by the docks, midnight. It sounds like a scene fit for a bad crime drama, and a bitter laugh bubbles up in my throat. My life has become a twisted cliché copyright. The hours crawl by, each ticking second echoing in my skull. My mind races, plans jumbled and useless. Should I tell the police? No, they'll want answers I can't give. Tell my husband? The shame of it would crush him. I'm trapped, and the walls are crushing inwards. The warehouse is dark and desolate, reeking of damp and something foul. He's waiting, a silhouette against the broken windows. His voice, raspy and low, cuts through the silence. Brought the cash? His demand is so ludicrous, so far beyond what I can possibly offer, that hysterical laughter nearly bubbles up. All this time I thought I could control the situation, that I was somehow still balancing the impossible. Now the truth hits me like a physical blow. He never cared about the money. This is about power, about the sick pleasure of destroying me. I don't have that kind of... My voice trails off, useless. He steps closer, and in the dim light I see his eyes glitter with madness. Shame. Thought we had a deal. Guess I'll have to find another way to get paid. The threat hangs in the air, an unspoken promise of exposure and ruin. Something snaps inside of me. I'm not the same meek woman who stumbled into this mess. Fury floods me, a raw primal force. He lunges for me, and I react on instinct. Years of repressed frustration fueling the blow. My fist connects with his jaw, a sickening crack echoing in the silence. He stumbles, shock overriding the rage in his eyes. We grapple then, a desperate, dirty brawl, more animal than human. I scratch and kick, fueled by adrenaline and the terror of the cornered. He's bigger, but rage makes me sloppy, unpredictable. We crash into a pile of rusted machinery. A sharp pain explodes in my side, but I barely register it. I grab a broken pipe, its jagged edge glinting in the dimness. He's scrambling to his feet, a snarl twisting his face. And that's when I see it. The flicker of fear in his eyes. The hunter has become the hunted. My hands are shaking. There's blood on them. His blood, maybe mine too. I'm not sure. The pipe lies discarded, a silent accusation in the dust. The warehouse feels even more cavernous now. The silence amplified by the frantic pounding of my heart. He's not moving. A chilling certainty settles over me. I killed him. It feels impossible, unreal. Yet the impossible is my new reality. Panic propels me, a wild animal desperate for escape. I run, not bothering to look back, the night swallowing me whole. Every shadow is a threat. Every distant siren heralds doom. Instinct, not reason, guides me through twisting streets. My mind a jumbled mess of guilt, terror, and a sliver of perverse release. Home should be a refuge, but the familiar rooms feel alien. Each creak of the floorboards sounds like an accusation. His toothbrush is still on the bathroom counter. A mundane object, now a symbol of everything I've shattered. I collapse on the bed, sobs racking my body. Sleep is a luxury I no longer deserve. I don't know how long I lie there, drowning in guilt and terror. Then a sound pierces the silence. A knock at the door. My blood runs cold. They found me already. It's over. Ma'am, are you all right? The voice on the other side of the door is a police officer's. The tone polite, yet laced with concern. I force myself up, each step leaden. There's no escape, only the sick certainty that this is just the beginning. My husband's smiling photo on the side table mocks me. 1,000 apologies swirl, unspoken in my head. Apologies I'll never have the chance to offer. The consequences of my actions have begun to unfurl. A tangled web I can never escape. Opening the door feels like stepping into an abyss. My carefully constructed world has shattered, and as the light of the hallway falls upon my face, I know with chilling certainty things will never be the same again. The interrogation room is a blur of harsh lights and two bright uniforms. My voice sounds foreign in my ears, a robotic recitation of a half-truth I've barely had time to concoct. Self-defense, he attacked me. I panicked. The words feel flimsy, weightless in the face of their grim stares. They ask questions, sharp and probing, yet I barely register them. It takes every ounce of focus to keep the shaking at bay, to maintain the facade of a terrified victim, not a killer. They have evidence. My phone records, the photos he sent, his history of unstable behavior. These scraps support my story, yet also threaten to expose the uglier truths. I hold my breath, waiting for the inevitable. We don't buy it. A phone call is allowed, just one. My hands tremble as I dial the number etched in my soul. His voice, warm and familiar, sends a fresh wave of agony through me. Hey, everything okay? You sound weird, he asks, worry creasing his tone. I manage a strangled, there's been an accident. My voice breaks then, and the sobs I've been fighting explode into the sterile room. His confusion turns to terror as I choke out the barest outlines. Mark of fight the police. When I hang up, there's silence. His devastation echoes on the line. A pain that cuts far deeper than any jail sentence. I've destroyed him, perhaps more surely than if I pulled a trigger. The news spreads like wildfire. My name, my face splashed across cheap tabloids alongside grisly crime scene photos. Cheating wife kills lover. The words scream from the page, branding me. He's reduced to a lurid detail while I am both victim and villain, forever bound to this horrific narrative. My parents arrive, their faces etched with shock and shame. My mother weeps, her cries filling the cramped room. My father stares at me with such revulsion the sight burns me worse than a judge's gavel. They post bail, the money a meaningless gesture. I'm released into their custody. My fingers tap out an email I can't believe I'm actually considering sending. Resignation. It's a word I never pictured next to my name. But here we are. Not even noon and the day's already a dumpster fire. All courtesy of Ben. Okay, maybe not all his fault. I hold the phone with Ben's latest message, the one that might have tanked my entire career. I feel a bit sick. Don't overreact, I mutter to myself. But who am I kidding? Ben, the hotshot new VP, with his stupid perfect smile and stupid habit of texting me things like, can't wait for tomorrow, has been a problem practically since day one. My thumb hovers over the delete button. Nope, can't do it. Not until I've reread this disaster at least 10 more times in a blind, masochistic panic. Work emails shouldn't feel this scandalous, but then again, the sly flirting, the way he'd linger when we'd run into each other at the coffee machine. None of that was exactly work appropriate either. Mark had noticed, of course he had. A raised eyebrow here, a slightly too casual, "How's Ben there?" I brushed it off. "He's just being friendly," I'd said, and mostly I really believed it, until I didn't. Turns out, after-work drinks with the office heartthrob is a slippery slope. Just one drink turned into three. Turned into his hand on mine that time he pretended to help me with a napkin. Turned into, well, let's not revisit last week, shall we? Traffic was crazy, I'd said to Mark, walking in late, smelling of Ben's cologne and lies. Now, with Ben's stupid winky face message on my phone, my cheeks burned. Mark's instincts were right. I should have listened. He knows me well enough to sense when something's off. Sarah, my boss Jenny, practically jolts me out of my skin. "Everything all right? You look a little distracted." Distracted is one word for it. Mortified. Panicked. About to lose my job. It doesn't take a genius to connect the dots. The office party last week, the one where I had way too much champagne and ended up laughing too loudly with Ben on the balcony. The one where my coworkers probably started noticing. And apparently Ben himself took the obvious flirting thing as a full green light to get more explicit. I clear my throat. Just a headache. I manage. Giving her my best, everything's fine smile. I can already see Jenny's mind whirring, boss mode activated, probably deciding if I'm hungover or about to quit. Maybe both. Time to cut my losses, I realize with a sinking feeling. Ben's reckless message makes it clear. He's got zero boundaries. And I'm one nervous breakdown away from HR getting involved. It's him or me. And after 10 years here at this company, well, it stings like hell, but I know what I have to do. Now all that's left is figuring out how to explain this to Mark. 3 missed calls. Oh no. The phone feels heavy in my hand. 3 missed calls from Mark in the space of an hour. My pulse quickens. He's never done that before. It's barely lunchtime. And already today's shaping up to be more of the same high-wire stress fest. Should I call him back? Can I stall until I've scrubbed all evidence of Ben from my phone? I swipe open the secure messaging app. My heart in my throat. If Ben's texted since this morning, I'm screwed. Nothing. Breathing a shaky sigh of relief, I begin the tedious process. Delete, delete, delete. It's become a sickening ritual. An addictive one too. I hate myself even as I relish the jolt of deleting another illicit message. The thrill of covering my tracks. I know exactly how messed up it is. How easily this could blow up my whole life. But Ben makes me feel seen. He flatters me. Makes me laugh. Fills up all those hollow spaces that have been aching inside me for longer than I care to admit. The lies are piling up as fast as the deleted texts. Working late, I told Mark last night, sneaking off to meet Ben at that little wine bar with its dim lighting and dangerously good cocktails. It had been intense. Ben's hand resting a little too long on mine as we shared a plate of tapas. That electric look in his eyes that makes me blush and feel 20 years younger. Maybe I am going crazy. Mark used to look at me like that. Well, a long time ago. Now it's like we're roommates, not husband and wife. He barely notices me. Always wrapped up in work or out late with his buddies or just a euro distant. Staring at his phone while I try to talk to him. Do I have a right to be angry? Angry or just pathetic? Grabbing at attention from the hot new guy at work because my husband can barely be bothered to ask how my day was. Another vibration. Not Mark this time. Ben. A simple, thinking of you. I feel a shameful rush. It's so childish, so reckless, but it's a lifeline to a world where someone actually notices me, where I'm not just Mark's wife, the woman who's always just a euro there. I type a hasty excuse about being in a meeting as I duck into the bathroom, locking the door behind me. The bathroom mirror throws my reflection back at me. Dark circles under my eyes. A tense line around my mouth. Is this who I've become? The woman with secrets? I scrub at my face. I need a plan. I can't keep doing this. But the thought of stopping. A wave of nausea hits. Am I addicted to the drama? To finally feeling something, even if it's a toxic mix of guilt and excitement? The knock startles me. Sarah? You okay in there? Jenny again. I splash cold water on my face, force a smile, and unlock the door. It's time to shove my mess of feelings away. slap on my best professional face, and pretend like everything's normal. Because sooner or later it's all going to implode. My hands are shaking so badly, I can barely unlock the front door. The house, usually a comforting haven after a long day, now feels like a tomb. Silent, cold, accusatory. The weight of Mark's absence hits me with the force of a physical blow. He's never stormed out like that. Not in all our years together. I sink down on the edge of the sofa. The two bright floral cushions suddenly garish, mocking. My mind races. Where did I go wrong? I saw the accidental text, the way Mark's face hardened when he glanced at my phone. Some innocent message from Ben, but Mark wouldn't know that. It must have been the final straw. Did he see the way I light up when Ben's around? The stupid, flirty banter? The linger at the coffee machine? The way I laugh at his jokes even when they're not that funny? He must have seen something. Maybe he even confronted Ben already? That thought sends a tremor of panic through me. I scramble for my phone, but there's nothing from Ben. No callback, no explanation, just chilling silence. Coward. A surge of anger washes over the nausea. Was I just a conquest? An ego boost? The thrill of chasing a married woman? I feel so stupid, so used. Then again, what did I expect? Ben's a player. The whole office knows it. And I wanted so desperately to be something other than Mark's boring wife that I threw myself into this mess like a blindfolded idiot. The silence of the house feels suffocating now. I need to hear a voice. Any voice. Numbly I dial Jenny, my best friend since college. Surely she'll understand. She'll. Sarah, are you okay? You sound. Her voice trails off. She doesn't sound judgmental. Exactly. Worried. It hits me. She already knows. The gossip mill works fast, especially when the scandal involves the new hotshot VP. I can't hold it in anymore. Words tumble out of me. A messy confession of guilt and fear and stupid, selfish choices. Jenny listens. There are a few shocked gasps, then a thoughtful silence. When she finally speaks, it's not what I expected. No, how could you? Or what about Mark? Instead, it's a simple, what are you going to do? What am I going to do? The question hangs between us. Fix it? Even if Mark were to take me back after this, which, would I ever truly trust him again? Could I even trust myself? The kitchen counter gleams. That's where Mark left the note. I didn't even look closely when I walked in. Now my hands are trembling again as I reach for it. Just a few scribbled words. Need space? Don't wait up. At least he didn't write, I hate you. There's a flicker of hope there, however pathetic. I fold the note carefully, tucking it into a pocket. It's time for some damage control. Time to face whatever version of tomorrow comes next. I wake up with a gasp, heart pounding as if I've been running. Running from what? It takes a few disorienting seconds to realize it was just a dream. A horrible dream where Mark was yelling at me, throwing his wedding ring on the floor. He looked so full of rage, of disgust. My stomach churns. Is that our future? Time seems to have lost all meaning. Each day bleeds into the next. It's like I'm living in a fog, going through the motions but not really present. I manage to drag myself to work, plaster on a fake smile, answer emails as if my life hasn't shattered into a million pieces. But it has. The accidental pocket dial is a new kind of torture. I hear it in my head. That muffled recording of my choked sobs, begging Mark to come home. Pathetic. I don't even remember making the call, but he must have heard it. Has he deleted it yet? Or does he keep it as proof of how pathetic I am? To my complete horror, Ben's emails start up again. But there's no more teasing, no more thinking of you. Now it's coldly formal. The language of a lawyer, not a lover. Please refrain from contacting me. This is inappropriate. It's like a slap. He wants to make it my fault. Distance himself. Of course he does. He got what he wanted. Now it's time to save his own skin. The grocery store becomes a minefield. Every trip is haunted by the possibility of bumping into Mark. Today, my luck runs out. There he is, at the end of the aisle, looking gaunt and unfamiliar. For a second our eyes meet. Then he looks away. Actually recoils like I'm something disgusting. The tears come hot and fast as soon as I get back to the car. They blur my vision as I fumble for my keys. My breath hitching in huge, embarrassing sobs. Strangers passing by give me concerned looks. I don't care. Let them look. Let them pity me. It's what I deserve. That evening, the doorbell rings. It's Sarah from next door. Sweet Sarah, always baking cookies or offering to help with my garden. She holds out an envelope. A manila envelope. The kind that means nothing good. The mailman mixed it up with our stuff, she says awkwardly. I just stare at the envelope. The divorce papers. They're official now. There's no going back. No magical reconciliation scene like in the movies. This is it. Sarah offers some stumbling words of sympathy, then retreats, leaving me alone with the stark weight of that envelope. As for my friends, they mean well, I guess. But their pitying looks. The platitudes about how I'll get through this make me want to scream. Even Jenny sounds different on the phone. Cautious. The truth is I'm radioactive now. The woman who blew up her life. It's the perfect cautionary tale for every bored housewife in the office. I can see it in their eyes. I'm not the same as them anymore. Maybe they were never truly my friends anyway. You look terrible. My reflection in the bathroom mirror doesn't argue. Haggard eyes. Pale skin. Hair that hasn't seen conditioner in far too long. It's more than a bad look, though. This is what betrayal looks like. What self-destruction looks like. But I can't hide in here forever. Even the act of taking a shower, washing away the grime of despair, feels like a small victory. I stand a little taller as I blow dry my hair. Apply a touch of mascara. Maybe I'm strong enough for this. Whatever this is. My therapist calls it a turning point. You're shifting from reaction to action, she says with that little knowing smile they all have. I guess endless sessions of talking about my disastrous decisions, my pathetic attempts at justification, finally wore through the layers of denial. The truth is, I'm sick of feeling sorry for myself. Sure, Mark was distant. Maybe I got bored. But how did those flimsy excuses justify throwing my whole life away for a cheap office affair? No, it's on me now. There's a bitter liberation in owning that. At night, I still dream of Mark. Not the angry nightmares of the first few weeks, but different. We're talking calmly, having a real conversation for the first time in years. And then as I reach for him, it all dissolves and he's a stranger again with eyes full of cold contempt. I wake up shaking and it takes hours to fall back to sleep. Jenny drags me to the art opening. I protest, but she's insistent. Like it'll drag me back into normal life. I plaster on a social smile and hold a glass of terrible wine, trying to look like I belong amidst the chattering art crowd. And then, there he is. A stranger. Actually, older, a little rumpled, with kind eyes behind his glasses. He seems genuinely glad to see me. I realize with a jolt that it's David, Jenny's accountant friend who she swears is perfect for me. Just talk to him, she'd urged. But it felt beyond impossible back then. Now, in the face of my total wreckage of a love life, I suppose I have nothing to lose. Can I refill your wine? He asks. There's no pity in his voice, no judgment. Just a simple act of kindness that takes me by surprise. We end up talking for hours. Turns out boring old accountants can actually be interesting, especially when they listen without fixing or judging. I don't mention Ben or Mark or any of it. Yet, as the night winds down, I feel lighter somehow, like I've taken a hesitant step outside my own miserable little bubble. The apology letter sits on my desk, half finished. I've started and stopped dozens of times. Can a few words on a page even begin to convey the depth of my regret? Is it just more self-indulgence, begging for forgiveness I don't deserve? Then again, maybe it's not about forgiveness at all. It's about acknowledging the truth. The pain I caused Mark. Finally, I type out the words, simple and raw. I was wrong. I'm so sorry. Will he even read it? Maybe it'll vanish into the junk folder. The cursor hovers over the send button. My finger trembles, then presses down. Relief and fear twist together in my gut. Days stretch into a slow agony of waiting. And then my phone buzzes. It's not forgiveness, not even close. But it's a reply. Let's talk. It's the tiniest crack in that massive wall between us, but it feels like a lifeline. Maybe I can build something new from the ashes after all. That's a story for tomorrow, though. Today this tiny bit of hope is enough. Sarah, is that really you? I freeze mid-sip, wine sloshing dangerously in my glass. Of course it's me, Melissa. Who else would it be? It takes me a few disorienting seconds to realize the setting. It's Emily's birthday dinner. The first big get-together since the incident. Mark and I had carefully avoided these events, but I guess staying hidden forever was never a viable option. Melissa, sweet but gossipy Melissa from HR, is staring at me with those wide eyes. She's probably trying to decide whether to offer condolences or pretend like nothing happened. I force a smile I don't feel. Surprise? Her eyes flick towards Mark sitting across the crowded table. He doesn't look back. Well, yeah. Her voice is too bright, too brittle. She takes a large gulp of Chardonnay and continues. I mean, it's great to see you, but I just figured you guys were. She trails off, clearly searching for a polite euphemism. Taking some time, I offer, plastering on my best everything's fine facade. Inside I'm cringing. It's exactly what Mark and I have been doing. Awkward silences at breakfast, sleeping in separate rooms. The gulf between us stretches wider every day. Despite that one tense coffee shop meeting prompted by my apology email, he'd been civil at least, which felt like progress at the time. But it's a far cry from the kind of relationship we used to have. Small talk with a slightly drunk coworker about your imploded marriage. Yes, this was just the kind of social interaction I was craving. I make my escape to the bathroom, the taste of the wine like acid in my mouth. My reflection in the mirror is harsh under the fluorescent lights. Dark circles under my eyes. A smile that looks forced. There's still a ghost of the old life in there somewhere. The confident, capable woman I used to be. But that woman feels very, very far away. When I finally return to the table, Mark is gone. I feel a sharp flare of disappointment. We might be separated, but there's still an unseen thread connecting us. I see it in the way our friends shift uncomfortably when we're in the same space. The not-so-subtle side-taking and whispered conversations. David, the unlikely ray of light who came from that gallery opening, places a hand gently on my shoulder. Want to step outside, grab some air? I nod, grateful. We stand on the dimly lit patio, escaping the noise, the awkward pity. It's still early for a real date, but his presence is surprisingly comforting. A year ago, I was on the same patio, laughing amongst the same group of people about some inside joke I don't even remember. Tonight, it's like I'm on the outside, looking in, watching a life I no longer recognize as my own. The anniversary of that first drink with Ben hangs heavy in the air, unacknowledged but felt. Back inside, I catch bits of conversation at a nearby table. Poor Emily, to have all this drama at her party. Heard Ben finally got fired? There's a flash of dark satisfaction. Karma, I guess, is real. Then something unexpected. Shame about his wife, though. Suddenly, I feel a jolt of empathy for the woman I never met. Penn's Park. Betrayed, blindsided, just like Mark was. A reminder that my reckless choices created ripples far wider than I could ever have imagined. So, a fresh start. David's tone isn't accusatory, but there's a question hanging there. We're sitting on my barely furnished living room floor, sharing a celebratory takeout pizza after the moving truck finally left. Yes, the single word echoes in the emptiness. It's both terrifying and thrilling. This idea of leaving it all behind. The wreckage of my marriage. The judgmental coworkers. The endless cycle of whispers and regrets. David reaches for my hand. His grip reassuringly warm. Just checking how you feel about it all. He smiles. I don't want to be a rebound, Sarah. I know it's been a damn mess. I should be offended, I suppose. But the truth of the matter is, he's not wrong. I met David at my absolute lowest. I'm surprised he's still around, honestly. But there's a quiet strength to him. An unwavering kindness that feels like a lifeline when so much else has shattered. I told you about everything. Ben, Mark, the whole train wreck. He listened, offering no judgment, just space for me to work through it all. I don't expect you to fix me, or even want that. He smiles again. This one's softer. I like you, Sarah. Broken pieces and all. He squeezes my hand. But if this is about running away, not running towards something. His words linger, and I know he's right. A clean slate doesn't erase the stain of what I've done, but maybe it's time I learned to live with the stain. To own it as part of my story. But not the whole damn thing. The job offer. An out-of-the-blue opportunity at a design company in a city I'd never even visited. Felt like a lifeline. Now that it's real, that I'm surrounded by boxes filled with the detritus of my old life, the terror is setting in. Can I actually do this? The next day I faced Ben in a small neutral coffee shop. He begged for this meeting, claiming he had to apologize in person. Whatever. I mostly figured it was his pathetic attempt at closure, or maybe a ploy to avoid Jenny, his now ex-boss. He looks terrible, worn out, eyes hollow behind a hastily attempted hipster beard. Gone is the cocky hotshot VP. It provides a small sliver of satisfaction, proof that karma works, even if a little slowly. His apology is a pathetic, rambling mess. Pins Park. Something about his wife. How he finally understood the pain he'd caused. I don't believe him. Not for a second. But there's no need for anger anymore. The spark between us is dead. As I rise to leave, a strange thing happens. He looks almost afraid of me. It's a small victory. A tiny reclaiming of power. That night I have the first dream in weeks that doesn't revolve around Mark's accusing eyes. It's a simple dream. Me crossing a bridge into a sunlit city. The weight on my shoulders a little lighter with each step. I take that dream as a sign. Pack the essentials into my car and say my goodbyes. Jenny, bless her, is all tears and promises to visit. David, bless him even more, insists on driving the moving truck with me, keeping me entertained with silly road trick games and terrible jokes. At our last stop, Mark even stops by awkwardly, hands me an envelope. Your mail keeps getting redirected, he mumbles, then leaves as quickly as he arrived. The drive is long but surprisingly cathartic. Miles eat up the distance between my old life and whatever comes next. The first night alone in a faceless hotel room is hard, but I curl up under the generic duvet and order room service, which feels shockingly decadent. The interview is nerve-wracking, but they seem unfazed by my unconventional resume gap. They're not hiring the old Sarah, the one who had it all together. They're taking